Hi everybody, in this video we're going to look at the pen tools that come with LYNX Whiteboard. So to find all the pen tools, on the main toolbar at the bottom of the screen we go to the pen icon, and when I click on it with my mouse you'll see that it changes the symbols down there into my pen options. Now these three pens are ones that I've actually set for myself. And to do that, I would go to the hamburger menu here and go to the options. And there is a video that showcases this, but just very quickly, we go to interface, and here is where we can choose what our default pens are going to be for this. And we can actually save the profile of these pens for each user of the device, if it's a device that multiple users use. Seeing as I'm the only person that uses my laptop, I haven't needed to do that. However, I can still change these pens whenever I want to. Now, obviously at the moment I have these three pens here, and I basically would just click on one of them and then start to write on the screen. That's how easy it is. And again, I can get the highlighter and do that. And again, I've got a line pen so I can underline what I've just added to the screen. If I want to change any of these, all I have to do is click on one of the pen icons a second time. You can see that little arrow there, and click on it again to hide it. But if I click in there, this will bring up the menu of all the various pens, and that's the box that you can see here as well. So we have an ink pen, and as we write with the ink pen, the idea is it looks like the ink is blotting on the screen. We also have the fine tip pen, which is more like a felt tip, and it has a steady sort of thickness to the line. We have the laser pen, which will disappear after a few seconds, and of course the highlighters as well. Next we have the two LYNX Pro pens, the text and shapes pen. So with this one I can draw around things and it will convert into the shapes that I've drawn onto the page, and that includes arrows and so on. But if I handwrite some text, it will also convert my handwriting into a font of my choice, which I can then select and I can tap into, and I can start adding extra information to it. The maths pen is where I can write some equations, and when I pause it will convert them into the correct symbols. And again, if I do that here with a fraction, it will do the same, and you can see the answers are here in a hide and reveal box. But to access both of those pens, you will notice it's got a little Pro icon there, and that's because you have to become a LYNX Pro subscriber to use both of those AI related pens. However, the pens at the top are free and these pens at the bottom are free, and that includes the rainbow pen. The rainbow pen is great on a touchpad because the children, when they're writing with it, if they're trying to write the word rainbow, you can see that I've made a mistake. Not a problem, we can just undo or erase it. But as they're writing, you can see now how it's a different colour when I start off, and every time I lift my finger or pen from the screen, it changes colour. So it's really a great way of being able to see how students are forming their letters and so on. The animated pen does exactly the same, but it just cycles through all the colours because some students like that. And we also then have the line, curve and elbow pens. When I use these, I just use the line pen because I can go from A to B and create my line. And then if I go to the selector, I can select the line and I can mess around with it. Because with all of these lines and things that we put on the page, there are tools to help us make changes. One of them is the colour and the thickness of the line, so I can change the colour of the line and the thickness of it. But also, because this is a line, I have the options here on how the line looks. So I've got the style of the line, so we can have a dashed line or a dotted line, and also the ends of the line can be given an arrow size kind of cap. So for example, it could be an arrow, or the other end it could be a circle. So you can see those on there. But we also have the curve options. So if I add a point to my line, there it is in the middle, I can move that around and you can see I now have an elbow line, they're called. If I add more points, I can slide these points along the line and position them in different ways. But then if I click on the curve, it's now a curve that fits those lines. And again, I can add points and slide these around and so on, and remove points should I want to as well. So let's change that and let's remove the last point we added and so on. When it comes to all the other lines that we've added to the page, again, we can click on part or all of the lines. And here you see I've collected all of these together, and I can go in here and I can change the colour of them. So we take away the rainbow effect there of the word rainbow. It won't work on the animated pen because that's different, but it's changed all the separate rainbow colours just into one now. So I've changed them all into green there as well. And again, we can mess with the thickness of the pen strokes as well, which it will allow me to do on the animated pen, as well as the line pen, the ink pen, the fine tip, and even the highlighter here as well. So I could go in here and mess with the highlighter thickness and the highlighter colours and so on. So those are the pen tools, and don't forget that when you click on them, you have the floating toolbar to make changes to them as you need to. But also, don't forget that when we're presenting, we get a different set of pen tools. Here are mine down here. I've been using them today, so they're already set to these colours. So I have a blue inking pen at the moment. I have a green fine tip pen, and I have my pink highlighter, as well as the laser pen, which will disappear in a moment, and the eraser, which will only erase the things that I've added and not the things that I put into the kind of editing mode before we went into presentation mode. So you will always have access to pens when you're presenting as well. Okay, thank you for watching.